We work in months. So each month is the month of whatever we choose. So for example, the month of December was the month of buying infrastructure, so wood and so forth. Welcome to the 2-Acre Homestead. Come along with us on our journey from a small suburban homestead lifestyle to our new lifestyle, homesteading in the rural countryside of southern Arizona. We'll share with you our tips, tricks, successes, and failures from both our past suburban lifestyle to our new rural lifestyle, all on the 2-Acre Homestead. Welcome to the 2-Acre Homestead. I'm your host, Lisa, and today we are talking about having a plan and having a vision on the homestead. Having a vision is probably one of the most important things you can do for yourself, sanity-wise. And I say this kind of tongue-in-cheek because we have been there where I think it was like our third year of homesteading, where we were just like, just get the seeds in the ground, just plant as much as we possibly can, because we need to grow as much of our own food as we possibly can. And we did not have a plan for how we were going to grow this food, how much soil amendments we needed to have. We did not know how we were going to preserve all of that food. I had some knowledge of food preservation, but I didn't have, I think I had like two things of canning jars, 2 packages of canning jars, and that was it for an entire summer. Yeah, complete. Yeah, did not have a plan at all. We had somewhat of a vague vision. We had we had the motivation coupled with a vague vision, but we had no plan on how to get there. And it was a disaster. That was a really hard year because for our health, we desperately needed to grow as much as we possibly could from our homestead, from, grow as much food as we possibly could. But because we had no plan, we wasted a lot of time, energy, and money because we didn't plan things out. So over the years, we have learned that there are some vital steps that you need to take when you are planning your growing season. So the first thing is winter. A lot of times, I know by the time February comes around, you are done with winter. Most of us are done with winter. I say most of us because there are some of us that live in the southern part of the United States, and we have very mild winters. I happen to be one of them. The coldest it gets here is about 23 degrees, which is cold. But I can't really complain when I look at people that live, let's say, in Michigan, because we have family in Michigan, and, they're dealing with 18-degree weather as the daytime high. So anyway, but winter is a good time to catch up on reading, dreaming, and envisioning. That's the time you want to do it because you're not doing anything else except for trying to keep your home, keep your sanity, keep the kids occupied, keep you occupied, keep yourself warm, keep yourself occupied with thinking about what you want your homestead to look like during this growing season. The second thing that my husband and we like to do is sometimes we'll take out a whiteboard and we will write down what our big goals are. And then we'll take those big goals and we whittle them down to individual little steps. We do that to keep ourselves from getting overwhelmed because it's so easy, especially by the time August comes. I don't know what it is about the month of August, but by the time August comes, it just seems like you can be so severely overwhelmed with harvesting, infrastructure, everything going on the homestead. It's the busiest time, at least for us. It's one of the busiest times on our homestead is the month of August. So to prevent August burnout, keeping yourself with these little goals, these little steps in the hopes of achieving a big goal helps you not to be burned out. And that leads me to point number 3, and that is we work in months. So each month is the month of, so for example, the month of December was our buying of infrastructure. That was our infrastructure month. So my husband went, even though the prices of lumber are really skyrocketing high, that's a whole different subject, but he went and bought a bunch of lumber because we knew there were things that we're going to need on the homestead. And rather than him buying those things as we're trying to accomplish each month these little goals, he already had everything. He already has everything that he needs already stored, which makes his life a lot easier so that he's not running around trying to figure out where he's going to get all of this stuff from, especially in this day and age, because there's just so many shortages and supply chain issues and blah, 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 everything else. So by doing that, that was really smart on his part. So that's what I mean by each month we have it's the month of. So the month of December was infrastructure. The month of January was all about rabbits and getting the infrastructure set in place for our rabbits because we got our breeding rabbits. We got our 3 meat rabbits in the month of January. So we had this vision. I've had this vision of always wanting to have meat rabbits. And we spent the entire month of January preparing for our meat rabbits. The month of February is the month of the chicken. For us, it's the month of I should say not the month of the chicken, but it's the month of the chicken yard because we are expanding our chicken yard. And we are going to be adding a bunch of chickens. We're going to be adding 2 separate flocks. We're going to be adding a meat chicken flock and a egg laying flock. And we will maintain those 2 separate flocks with their individual roosters in one complete yard. And that's something that I probably will talk to you guys about on a different podcast. I think I've alluded to it here and there. But we will be talking about that on a different podcast. But yeah, so, the month of February is all about the chicken. So why is the month of February all about the chicken yard for us? Because in the month of March, we have 60 chickens that are going to be shipped to us, or I should say chicks that will be shipped to us, and we will be growing some of them out for meat, and they will be going into freezer camp. And then, like I said, some of them we are maintaining, we're going to be keeping because those are going to be our meat chickens for quite some time. They'll be our permanent meat chicken flock. And then we're also adding to our layer flock. So super excited about that. But anyway, so each month has its own theme. And then it also has its own sub-theme. So going backwards in time again, so the month of December was the month not only for my husband to get infrastructure like wood, nails, tarps, tools, different tools that he needed, but it was also the month for me to get infrastructure because my focus on the homestead is not just my children and my home, but I'm also the gardener on our homestead. So my focus in December was the infrastructure of the garden. So I needed to make sure I had all of my seeds ordered. I needed to make sure I had all of my heat mats ordered. All of my grow trays, everything in order for this upcoming growing season. So that way, when I do start my seedlings, I don't have to be running around saying, oh, I need this or, oh, I need that. I have everything at my disposal. Then the month of January was that was the month of me getting my seeds, receiving all of my orders, and organizing everything. Because if you're a gardener, you know that when you are in the middle of planting all of those seeds and you've got trays going everywhere, and if you're like me, you don't have a greenhouse. I don't have a greenhouse yet. Why? Because we are brand new on this homestead and that has not been a top priority. But it will be one of these days. But you've got seed packets. When you're planting everything, they just go all over the place. So the more organized you can be, the better. That's what the month of January was for me, was making sure I had everything organized. The month of February is all about getting things going. Getting certain things, making sure the soil is good, getting my soil tests. I already have some things planted that I know that can take the cold, but the new garden beds and the new growing area, making sure that my soil test is all well and good and I'm good to go. Everything is amended. So that way, by the time, because in February, I'm already starting my seedlings. Usually between January and February, I'm starting to do some seedlings. And so that way by March, I can put those seedlings out and that starts my growing season here in the desert Southwest is the month of March. So having that vision, having a plan, taking things little chunks at a time. Don't try to do everything at one time. It'll help you not to be overwhelmed. I think my husband and I's experience and things that we have observed in other people over the years is that people get burnt out homesteading. And it's because of two things. They get burnt out because they try to do too much at one time, and because they don't plan. So you can see it's a continuous theme. You're getting burnt out because you're trying to, you feel the sense of urgency, like, oh my goodness, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. And you're trying to do it all at one time. And if you're doing all of this without a plan, without a strategy, you're just going to wind up going into a tailspin, bumping into each other, overlapping each other, because especially if you're a husband and wife, you're going to overlap each other, because if you're not working together and you don't have this plan, then one person's going to see, oh, this person's not, the wife, my wife, she's not putting the seeds in when she should, or the wife will be like, you know what? He's not taking care of the chickens right now. I've got to take care of the chickens. He may have everything set up for the chickens, but you don't even know about it because you're not working together with your plan. That is one of the number one things that makes people stop homesteading, is that lack of planning and that feeling of just being overwhelmed on the homestead. And you couple that with the fact that most of us who homestead you are going against the grain, the societal, quote unquote, what's normal in society. You're going against that societal norm. So you're beating each other up, and then you're getting beat up by society on top of it. Yeah, that would make anybody want to stop homesteading. But by, again, planning, vision, have a plan, take things step by step, little bits at a time, you will be a very successful homesteader. Well, I hope that this podcast today finds you and your family in good health and in good spirits. Until next time, be safe out there.